This edition of the Rhode Island Spotlight is brought to you by Amica Insurance, a proud sponsor of Meeting Street.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Like any school, there's a lot of playing mixed in with the learning for the younger students at Meeting Street, both inside and outside.
Y equals Y.
And as they get older, the instruction is increasingly focused. But walk into almost every classroom and you'll see this. Students with varying abilities and disabilities, needs and special needs, learning together. Long before the word inclusion made its way into mainstream vernacular, Meeting Street was showing the educational world how it looked. John Kelly saw it when he took over as president and CEO of the nonprofit school 25 years ago.
The work's just spoken to me from the beginning because it's really talking about kids from prenatal all the way up to adulthood. And it's just the impact you can have on a child and on the family. I mean, it's generational, with some of the stuff that our professionals are doing. It's incredible.
Instead of worrying about how a child with profound special needs might coexist in a classroom setting, here they embrace it.
Adults, that's the way we think about it. The kids don't think about it. If you have the kids talk about the kids in their classroom, they'll tell you 5 things about Joey before they mention he's in a wheelchair, and that'll only be in connection with some other story they're telling. They're not seeing the disability. They're seeing another kid who's another kid.
Meeting Street was founded more than 75 years ago in this building, named for the street on the east side of Providence where it was first located. The school later moved to this building in East Providence, across from Providence Country Day. Shortly after Kelly arrived in 1998, he knew they needed more space. Within a decade, Meeting Street had moved to a sprawling 12-acre campus on Eddy Street that's hard to miss driving south on Route 95.
Moving to South Providence and being more part of the Providence community, the families who started coming to us was amazing. And I think being along 95, we totally underestimated that.
It's a billboard that many companies would pay big money for. Visitors to the 90,000 square foot building are greeted by brightly colored halls with lots of light and art. There's a full-size gymnasium, indoor therapy pool, and a massive playground with adaptive equipment. And the number of students and staff to serve them has increased 4- and 5-fold over the past 2 decades. On any given school day, there are about 500 students and 200 staff members in the building.
Turn it a little bit so we can reach the side.
Alex Reinertson came here as a preschool teacher 3 years ago.
Preschool's a lot of fun. It's playing all day, but that doesn't mean we're not learning.
One day earlier this month, while 3 children played at a sandbox on one end of Reinertson's classroom, another read by herself on the rug. And Reinertson worked with a couple of students individually on a Valentine's Day project. She was working at a preschool in Cranston when she heard about an opening at Meeting Street. She remembered thinking,
I want to teach there, where kids are included in all the classrooms, because I've seen a lot of ways that special education is done, and sometimes kids with special needs or differing needs are not included, and I don't think that's right. I think that kids who are different from each other have a lot that they can learn and teach each other.
In her classroom, up to 8 children have individualized education plans, or IEPs, health needs, mobility, vision or hearing loss. Up to 10 are what she calls peer models, who don't have IEPs. What's going on in her classroom is mimicked across the building.
They are together doing the same activities all day long, every day. And in some schools, some situations, it's not that way. It's, kids who have IEPs or special needs are with their typically developing peers, as they say, for some parts of the day, or just for recess, or just for outdoor time. And that's great that there's even a little bit, but I love it here because I get to design activities to meet the needs of all the kids in my class, and then they all get to experience early childhood together.
But Meeting Street is laying the educational groundwork for many long before they are students at the building.
While our school is what put us on the map, what people don't realize is our work starts well before school. We're in the birthing hospitals. We're with mom and dad from the beginning all the way up till the time their kid's ready for school. So there's a lot of work we're doing in those young years, and that's where we've seen the most growth of really helping those kids catch up, and where they need additional assistance, making sure they're getting the assistance. It speaks to the level of trust families have, because not only are they letting you work with their greatest treasure, their child, but they're letting you into their home. And don't forget, some of our families, they don't necessarily want anybody in their home. They may not trust people. And so, you're building that relationship, and it's the relationship that's predicated on the professionals who came before us, who really built up the reputation of Meeting Street.
The school receives funding from the local communities that send children who have IEPs with needs beyond what the districts can meet. But Meeting Street is also a private, nonprofit school where parents whose children do not have special needs can attend from kindergarten through 8th grade and expect classroom sizes anywhere from 15 to 18. And like most nonprofits, it has a generous donor base that believes in the mission.
You're also a private nonprofit school.
Right.
So you have some parents who just want to come here for the education.
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
When they think, oh, my kid's going to Meeting Street, it's like, oh, what's his problem? No, he just wants to be there for the education.
Totally.
Is that right from the get-go, or is that since you took over 25 years ago?
They'd already started it with the younger kids, so up to age 5. And then what I did with the professionals here is we really grew it up to 8th grade. You hit the nail on the head. You're dealing with a lot of stigma. People will say automatically, you say my kid goes to Meeting Street, what's wrong with them? And no, maybe there is nothing wrong with them. Maybe your child doesn't have special needs, and that's the language we use, children with special needs and children without special needs. Because what we really want people to focus on is, number one, they're a child first, and then number two, whatever else they have going on, figure it out.
Adam Recchia and his husband have 3 children at Meeting Street, ranging in age from 4 to 7.5.
Our kids are adopted, so they went through a lot of trauma in the foster care system. So we were really looking for a place that would understand how to deal with kids that have had trauma.
It began with their son, Everett.
Having your son in a class that is inclusive like that, what does that do for him? And what does that do for you guys?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, they don't think anything about any type of diversity at all. It's just completely normal to them. We live in Warwick. We are both white. Our kids are black and Hispanic. And we really, that already sort of sets up somewhat of a difficult dynamic for them growing up. So we really wanted them to have other kids that looked like them in their classes as well. So that was another big draw here.
Meeting Street began outgrowing its building within a few years of moving in. That's why it plans to break ground this spring on a 30,000 square foot addition that will house early childhood intervention and learning programs.
People have always known us as a high quality school, and what we've really been pushing is to make sure we stay at that high level and making sure we're being a pioneer and a national leader in that. At the same time, we've really also pivoted to say, okay, we're getting these kids when they're 3 or we're getting them at kindergarten. What is the impact we could have in an early age and the impact it could have on their trajectory in school?
For those with special needs, they age out at 22.
Yeah.
Do you sit up at night thinking what's going to happen to some of these kids?
Yeah, one of the things we really work on, because a family's biggest concern is what's going to happen as my child ages. So we start working with them at 14 to prepare for that transition.
And Kelly says research shows that investing in children of all abilities early in life has a positive ripple effect in society.
Believe it or not, the cost of your correction system goes down. Believe it or not, your welfare costs go down. Believe it or not, your economy goes up. Believe it or not, your tax revenues go up. All these things that make a healthy society start with how you're bringing children up and how you're developing them and how you're supporting them. That's where it all starts. And that's why economic development drives me nuts, because it needs to start with the child. If we're not investing in their childhood development and our schools the way we need to be investing in them, then don't talk to me about, we're going to bring this company in. This is where it starts.
In Providence, Jim Hummel for the Rhode Island Spotlight.
Hey, Jim,